What is up, my fellow weebs? As you can see, I'm decked out in my Nanami Halloween costume. I think it's pretty good, actually. I'm going to take the glass off here in a second. It's kind of hard to see. But I think it did pretty well. This is like $30. I got the suit at Goodwill. I got the tie and the glasses off Amazon. But I think it's a pretty crunchy little costume here. Good evening, gamers, and welcome back to another episode of The War. That is the weekly anime recommendation, the show where I go out, I watch a frick ton of anime, I throw out all the bad ones, and I come back with one good recommendation for you, the viewer. So, the anime of the week this week is not technically an anime, which is kind of weird because I say it's the anime of the week. It's basically Chinese anime, and it just came out on Crunchyroll, so as the casual Western anime enjoyer, you won't really be able to tell the difference between this show and another anime. I'm just kind of putting this disclaimer up front because I'm sure a lot of purists will be really mad at me if I don't. So trust me, I know it's not an anime, but to me, it's basically the same. So I'm going to talk about it just like it's an anime. Now, the anime in question this week is, of course, Link Click. And I think it's a show a lot of people are pretty familiar with. But if you don't know anything about the show at all, it's sort of this like sci-fi, time travel, like mystery sort of movie or mystery sort of show. Very much of the same vein as like Inception or Interstellar or like Tenet, a lot of like the Christopher Nolan sci-fi movies. It's very similar to those in the sense that it's very like mind-boggling and it relies on a lot of mystery, a lot of sort of like mind-bending like mechanics that are really quite interesting. They don't exactly obey the laws of physics if you're like big into like science sci-fi, right? But it's a really incredible show. It's very well done. And I was actually quite surprised that it came from China because like I feel like there's a lot of censorship in China. I don't know like how they were able to produce this really phenomenal show, but it works, it's really, really well done. What really sold Link Click for me was the way the show feels so incredibly grounded, even as a sci-fi. And what I mean by that is, I feel like a lot of sci-fi get lost in exploring the interesting physical mechanics of the world they're in. Like for instance, The Matrix is sort of explores this like idea of being trapped in a simulation, right? I feel like at times in The Matrix, the story almost loses the character progression and it sort of loses its focus on the characters at the, like, to take a break and explore the world, right? And the interesting, like, idea of being in a simulation, right? Link Click doesn't do this at all. Link Click, I feel like, stays very grounded in the characters and it's really more of a character study than it is a sci-fi. Like, there are sci-fi elements to it and the characters, as they go through, you know, there are all these, like, really cool physical phenomena. But it's really about the characters. It's not about the world itself. And I love that. I love that, like, it has these really interesting, like, physical things going on. But it's not the focus. It's there, but it's not the focus. If that makes sense. And it really makes the show tangible to me. It makes me able to sort of follow along very naturally. In keeping with this, I think the writers made a very good choice to include only 3 or 4 main characters. Like throughout the show, there are only 3 or 4 characters that are really explored in depth. And the show really benefits from it. I feel like a lot of times shows, they include this huge cast of characters and it's hard to focus in on the characters and really take notice of what's going on. A great example of that is My Hero. I think My Hero is an amazing story. I've talked a lot about My Hero in the coming weeks because I'm super hyped for the new season. It has so many characters and they're all good characters, but it's very difficult to sort of latch on and pay attention to all of them because there's just so much going on. I think it takes, 3 or 4 seasons to explore everything. Link Click is only 12 episodes long, so it doesn't waste time giving you the background of all these characters you don't really want to know, and it really focuses on deepening and really expanding the knowledge of the characters that they do show you. And it's really interesting and it's really refreshing, honestly. You can tell there are moments where there are very personal ties between the characters that are, something will happen and you can feel the tension. You could cut the tension in the air with a knife. I love it. Great design choice. Great character choice. Right, so I was kind of rocking with the suit, but it's getting a little warm in here, so I'm gonna wave the white flag and strip down a little bit. So one thing I really liked about Link Click, and it's something that I'm not really sure I can put into words, is it's not an anime. And I know I said that before, but it feels different than an anime. Like, visually, it looks very similar to an anime, but in terms of, like, the writing style, in terms of just the overall feel of the show, it's completely different, and it's kind of weird. I can't really describe how. I've been watching a lot of anime, and I think the thing that drew me into anime from the beginning was the fact that anime doesn't have all these Western tropes kind of injected into them. But anime has its own inherent like tropes injected into the genre, and Link Click is almost free of that, and I can't describe it, I can't really put that into words. You have to just watch it, and I think you'll see what I'm saying. But if you're looking for something new, something unique, something different, I was intrigued by Link Click, and I think you would benefit as well from watching this show. Visually, like I said, it looks like an anime. It looks like a really well done anime. I don't know what it is about it. It's very like crisp, clear, almost neon, flashy colors. It feels very much like reading a webcomic. If you ever read a webcomic with like sort of the striking visuals and the striking color, it has that style to it more than say a manga does. I guess that's in keeping with it's not an anime, it's something else, you know? But yeah, it looks really amazing. It looks different. It feels different. Maybe that's what I was saying about like how it's different. Maybe it's purely visual. I don't think it is. I think it's a bit more than just being purely visual. But it's very well done. Honestly, I would be happy to get more Chinese anime because it's different, it's new, and it looks amazing. So, you know, I'm all for it. Yeah, so that kind of brings me to my review of the show. I don't really have anything negative to say, and I know this is like my second week in a row. I'm going to give this show a full mark because I don't have anything negative to say about it. Like, the characters are incredibly engaging, the visuals are unique, they're effective, they're really well done, the sound is amazing, the story is really original, the premise is really mind-boggling. I didn't say too much about the premise because I don't want to spoil the show for you, but the premise is incredible, and I think because it's like a Chinese like anime, there's no like fan service, there's none of like the, you know, like that kind of, you know what I'm talking about. But there's none of that in it, so it's really a pleasure to watch. The only complaint I would really have is it being Chinese. I feel like, I don't know, maybe because I'm American, I'm conditioned to like see China as like the enemy. I watch this show and I can't help but think like I'm being like indoctrinated into like Chinese propaganda somehow. I don't know why I would be, but that's what I feel like when I'm watching the show. Not that like the content is like that or anything. I don't know. I feel like Xi Jinping is trying to brainwash me or something. Maybe that's wrong, but yeah, I'm gonna give it full marks. Like full marks for animation, full marks for everything, because it's really a great show. And I know this is my second week in a row doing this, but I would really recommend Link Click. It's engaging, it's interesting, it's different. I have no complaints. Yeah, so that's been this week's War. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Before you go, I realized I forgot to say something. I have a bonus recommendation. That's the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. It just came out on Crunchyroll. As you can see, I'm kind of a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen. So give that a watch too, because I just realized that came out as I was like putting my stuff away, and I was like, oh no, I have to say something about it. So bonus recommendation, Jujutsu Kaisen, watch it, and subscribe to me, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.